I'm so blessed and in Vortex when it comes to wealth, health, love, relationships. But I struggle with death and losing somebody specific in my life.
Yeah. A lot of people croaking these days. Trying to be disrespectful. In and out, passing through, coming and going. Yesterday, Esther got on the airplane to come here. She's sitting in her seat and enjoying everything about the day. She looked down and realized her beautiful ring that Jerry gave her was not on her finger. The other rings were, her earrings were, her watch was in place, but that ring was not there. So immediately she felt her stomach go out from under her, and she thought, either I didn't put it on or I lost it along the way. So she picked up her phone. They were sitting at the gate still, and she called someone at the office because her house is on the grounds, and she asked, he was not there, he was on his way, and she asked him to go into her house and go into her dressing room and look on that table and see if that ring is sitting there. But he wasn't going to be there. It didn't look until she had taken off. So Esther realized she was just going to have to sit back and relax, but she was uncomfortable. And so this very nice man sitting next to her heard her and said, "So is your husband going to check on it for you?" She said, "No, he's dead." Wanting to be playful and also not wanting any sympathy from it, but it just seemed like the perfect thing to say. Well, it wasn't. It caused him to begin offering sympathy to Esther, and Esther said, no, really, everything's fine about that. And then Esther sat for the next few minutes, and she thought about how the ring is just a thing, and how it really doesn't matter because her relationship with Jerry is so present all the time. And Esther came back into alignment really quickly, even not knowing, sort of making peace with the fact that the ring was irrelevant. It was a symbol of something that will never go away. And so, meanwhile, this man is sitting there just sweating bullets because he thinks the only thing that this man has ever given Esther, because Esther did sort of say, it's the only thing he ever gave me. May be lost, and he stuck his big foot right in the middle of it, so he's sitting there sort of nervous about it, and Esther is back into alignment and feeling good. And then the text dinged right before they were told to turn their phones off. Well, actually 5 minutes after they were told to turn their phones off, but they're not the boss of Esther, right? And so Esther just showed the text to him. He had taken a picture of it and sent it to Esther. It's here. So Esther, surprisingly, didn't even feel that much relief about it because she had sort of made peace with it being gone in 30 minutes or 25 minutes. And then this very nice man said to Esther, "You know, I don't know what you believe, but I believe that our relationships are eternal." And Esther said, "No." Esther said, "I believe that too." Esther said, in fact, in that little bit of time when I thought maybe I might have lost the ring, I just reminded myself how irrelevant it is because our relationship really is ongoing. And that's the thing that we so want you to know. However, this pure positive energy that is your dearly not so departed, that was funny, is a vibration, not a word. It is a vibration, not a touch. It is a vibration. It's not this manifested thing that you're used to. It's a vibration that you have to translate, and you got to be in the vicinity or you're not going to translate it. And so Esther began saying to Jerry, "You know, it's pretty subtle. It's pretty subtle. I have to tune myself really well." And we want to say to Esther, it's not that you have to tune yourself so well, it's that you can't sloppily think and be out of tune. You have to tune yourself to it. But the more you do, the more you realize that there is no separation. And it is only when you finally show that to yourself, that there is no separation, that you will make your peace with the ongoing relationships. And you know what's so interesting about that is that all of us who have been so vivid and so alive in your experience today, because we have been so accurately translated by someone on our vibrational wavelength, we are as real in your experience with our consciousness and our knowing and our love and our understanding as anyone that you will ever meet. And yet we are not a condition. Esther translates us and makes us feel real to you in that way, you see. Everyone who has ever lived is focused with you here and now. And we think it is really worth despising that grief so vehemently that you finally say, enough, 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 enough of this illogical, irrelevant, unnecessary pain about something that does not exist. Because it's the separation or loss that you're suffering over, and that does not exist. That's like suffering over the pie you're not letting yourself get. That's like suffering over the clarity that you are denying yourself, or suffering over the vitality that you are blocking, you see. Esther has a really dear friend whose wife made her transition recently, who is also Esther's very good friend. And he said to Esther, shortly after she had made her transition, I decided I've just been feeling sorry for myself. And that really got Esther's attention, because she had not thought of grief in that way. Just feeling sorry for myself. And it made her think, I'd never want to feel sorry for myself with all of the resources and reasons for me to feel blessed and worthy. That's the opposite of what I intend to feel, you see. So it's just a matter of caring enough. You see, and there's never a subject that will give you the opportunity to come to really know and demonstrate in this life experience something that you so want to. The subject of unconditional love, like this, because this is a condition that cannot change in the way you think you want it to in order for you to feel better. So finally, your desire to feel better has never been stronger, because you've never felt worse. So your desire to feel better has never been stronger, but the condition will not yield itself to you in order to give it to you. Now that's a gift. In other words, to know that, to finally discover, I don't need a condition to change in order to come into my fullness and to be in my fullness without the condition changing. And then to be able to apply that to everything forevermore, you see? Oh, and then the big bonus, the big bonus is that all those dead guys, that's us. All of them aware of you, not dead, not gone, not separate, not disinterested, not distracted, interested in you. Not interested in what you used to do or what you might do, interested in what you're doing, interested in what you're thinking, interested in what you're saying, interested in where you are in relationship to all that you are. This thing that you call death, that you so much don't want, is the best thing that anybody's got going. Because all that has ever been is here present and current with you. No separation. All that wisdom, all that knowing. And not one of us took any of our negative habits with us. Not one of us took any of our doubts or fears or any of that. It's just pure positive energy interested in you. We think it's time for celebration of what you call death. And if we were standing in your physical shoes, we'd call it celebration of our eternal bond. We'd call it celebration of our continuity. We'd call it celebration of our support system. We'd call it celebration of our clarity and our alignment. We'd call it celebration. Because this thing that I've dreaded and feared my whole life, that I never wanted to happen to me or to anybody that I really cared about, happened and gave me the gift of understanding that nothing happened. Nothing happened. That was all bogus, trumped up, made up, flawed premise, baloney. It was all stuff that people disconnected from source told me. Because nobody connected to source ever would tell you anything to make you fear death. Only someone trying to control your behavior. So they say, I see. If you would like to live happily ever after, then join my club and keep my rules. But you don't want to join their club because you don't want to keep their rules. So you don't. So then they say, well, if you don't join my club, bad things will happen to you. And then you look around and you see people not keeping their rules and thriving. And you see people keeping their rules and not thriving. So then you say, hey, wait a minute. Doesn't seem to hold up. And they say, oh, there's something we forgot to tell you. You can't tell while you're alive in your body. You have to wait until after you're gone. And then that's when the good stuff or the bad stuff happens to you. All because they needed you to join their club because of their insecurity. That was a lot of conversation there. When you hook up with the source within you, it sort of takes care of everything, doesn't it?
Do you have any guidance or suggestions on how, for me to ensure that this person's always going to be with me and guide me and be my spiritual counselor once
we
they
can't
go?
assure you of that. We can tell you that for sure, that that person's always going to be with you. But we can't assure you that you're always going to be in the receiving mode. So we can promise you always there. We can't promise you that you'll always be aware.
Right.
That's the fun you get to discover on your own. And that's the fun that Esther got to discover. It shocked her how uncomfortable it was when Jerry made his transition. With all she'd heard about this, she was so mad at us for a while because it was very, 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 very painful for her. But she got enough of that discomfort pretty early on and knew enough to find relief from it by focusing away from a condition she couldn't control and onto the love that she was reaching for. So when she stopped looking for Jerry where he wasn't and started looking for him where he is, the uncomfortable was replaced with comfort. The sad was replaced with happy. In other words, she just had to teach it to herself, sort of one day at a time, but it didn't take long. She had something going for her, and you do too, and that is she was accustomed to being happy and liked it that way and wasn't willing to put up with not being happy for very long stretches at a time. She also began to watch her patterns, and she learned what she would say to those around her. So many people around her who love her. And she would say, all right, gang, it's a minefield out there. These are the things you are not allowed to talk about. Because all kinds of things just triggered her. Well, of course, she couldn't control any of them. They were all idiots. Those are her words, not ours. The most insensitive things would come out of their mouths. And then finally she realized, I can't control you. I can't count on you to feather my nest and make this comfortable for me. I better get some shock absorbers going here. I better get myself into alignment because the world is not going to stop. It just goes on and on and on in the different way. And you have to find a way of being happy in the difference. And then you reach this place where not only do you discover that you can be happy in the difference, you discover that your capacity for happiness is greater because your happiness capacity increased with your sadness capacity. Your sadness caused you to reach for greater happiness than you had ever reached for before. And when you were not able to connect with it, that sucked. But when you were able to connect with it, then you say, I've expanded into a new, happier place. Yeah. Just give it time. Be easy with it. And stop telling yourself all those lies about death. There isn't any. There's only eternal life. There isn't any separation. There's only not tuning in to who you really are. There isn't any reason to feel bad. There are just powerful desires to feel good and lack of practice along the way. Enough?